Welcome to the LightStar 2019 nCoV RT PCR Kit demonstration. The LightStar 2019 nCoV RT PCR Kit contains 96 reactions packed for convenience into 2 rounds of 48 reactions. 1 tube of Master A plus 2 tubes of Master B make up the master mix for 48 tests. First, completely thaw all required components of the kit and then briefly vortex and centrifuge. Using the 1000 microliter pipette, set the pipette volume to 370 microliters and add the complete contents of the first Master B tube into the Master A tube. Repeat this process with the second Master B tube. Using the 100 microliter pipette, set the pipette volume to 27 microliters and add the internal control into the master mix. Vortex the PCR master mix and briefly centrifuge. Next, remove 1 tray of PCR tubes from the stack. Using the 100 microliter pipette, set the pipette volume to 20 microliters and add the master mix into each required PCR tube, starting from position A1. To set up the no template control, first set the 10 microliter pipette to 5 microliters. Then add 5 microliters of PCR-grade water into the PCR tubes dedicated as no template controls for your PCR run. Next, add 5 microliter samples to the dedicated PCR tubes. Always use a fresh pipette tip for each sample. Add 5 microliters of the positive control to the dedicated PCR tubes. Make sure at least 1 positive control and 1 no template control are added per PCR run. After the PCR setup is completed, close the PCR tubes using the provided capping tool. Open the lid of the qPCR cycler and remove the tube clamp. Starting from position 1, place the PCR tubes into the rotor. Make sure all positions of the rotor are filled. Put the tube clamp back on and close the lid. To program the qPCR cycler, first select New from the toolbar menu, then select Run from the drop-down list. Select Run Profile from the navigator bar and add an additional hold step. For the first hold step, set the temperature and time as 50 degrees for 10 minutes. For the second hold step, set the temperature and time as 95 degrees for 2 minutes. In the cycling section, set the number of cycles to 45. Select green, yellow and red channels under Acquire On. Remove the third cycling step. For the first cycling step, set the temperature and time as 95 degrees for 5 seconds. For the second cycling step, set the temperature and time as 55 degrees for 30 seconds. Click the camera icon in the second step to Acquire On. Remove the melt step. In the top profile section, set the temperature control and volume to standard TAQ and 25 microliters. Click the down arrow next to the Save As button and select Template. Save the template in the Templates library. Simply open the run profile from the Templates folder for your next PCR run. After saving your new run profile template or opening it from the Templates folder, enter the sample information in the Samples editor. This step can be performed before, during or after a run. Select the type of sample from the scroll-down list to designate the sample type and the location of your positive controls and no template controls. Next, select the instrument to be used for the run in the top right toolbar. Then select the Start Run option from the drop-down list. Name your run profile. Finally, start the run by clicking the Start button in the dialog box. Once the run is completed, under the Analysis section, click the plus button next to cycling. Select Non-Assay Green, Non-Assay Red and Non-Assay Yellow from the list of options. To begin, first select the Non-Assay Green and use the default set of parameters. You may switch between logarithmic and linear view. A positive result is indicated by an amplification signal in the plot area and a CQ value in the results table. The CQ value indicates the signal crossing the threshold. A negative result is indicated by an absence of both amplification signal and a CQ value. Repeat the data analysis steps for non-assay red and non-assay yellow. Analyze the PCR results for each individual sample and validate the run by checking your controls. The positive control must be positive in all channels, whereas the no template control must be negative in the green and red channels but positive in the yellow internal control channel. For any assistance, contact us at techsupport@adtbiotech.com.